You know, some bands play music, some bands put on a really great show, and then there's Rammstein, a band that feels less like a concert and more like a force of nature, a fire-breathing industrial giant that has taken over the entire world.
And get this, that's not some slick line from a marketing department. That's a motto that came straight from their fans. And honestly, I don't think you could find a more perfect way to describe what it's like to see them live.
So that's the big question, right? How did these 6 guys from East Germany, and it's been the same 6 guys from day one, by the way, become this global phenomenon? Well, it's a story with a lot of layers. You've got the spectacle, the sound, the poetry, and a history that is absolutely essential to understanding any of it. So, let's dive in.
Okay, we have to start with the most visible layer, the thing everyone knows them for, the sheer, unbelievable, over-the-top theatricality of a Rammstein show.
Calling a Rammstein show a concert is kind of selling it short. It's more like a full sensory assault in the best possible way. We're talking about these colossal industrial stages that look like they were ripped right out of a dystopian movie. The pyrotechnics aren't just for decoration, they're like a 7th member of the band. And right in the middle of it all, you've got frontman Till Lindemann, who, routinely gets set on fire as part of the performance.
But here's the wild part. This isn't just some reckless stunt. After an early-stage accident way back in 1996, Till basically decided, well, if I'm going to be playing with fire every night, I should probably be an expert at it. So he went and got professionally trained. He is a licensed pyrotechnician who handles the flames himself. Now that is commitment to the bit.
But if you peel back that layer of fire and chaos, what do you actually find? You find a sound. A powerful, punishing, and uniquely German sound that they didn't just join, they pretty much created it from scratch.
Yeah, what they were doing was so different that critics and fans had to come up with a whole new name for it, Neue Deutsche Härte, which literally translates to New German Hardness. Think of it as a perfect storm. You've got the pounding rhythm of industrial music, the chugging force of metal guitars, and these cold, electronic synth sounds all fused together. It's disciplined, it's heavy, and it's absolutely unmistakable. So let's geek out for a second on how they build that massive sound. What we're looking at here is a frequency analysis. You can see how the guitars and the bass are perfectly carved out to have their own space. Nothing gets muddy, nothing fights for attention. Instead, what you get is this incredibly dense, powerful wall of sound, where every instrument hits you with maximum force. It's less like listening to a melody and more like a physical experience.
And this, for me, is one of the most fascinating parts of their story. In a music industry that is completely dominated by English, Rammstein somehow built a global empire by defiantly sticking to their native language. How on earth did they pull that off?
It turns out, for a lot of their international fans, the language isn't a barrier at all. It's actually part of the appeal. It's a puzzle to be solved. This fan online just says it perfectly. The music grabs you first, but then you get curious about the lyrics, and the joy comes from digging in and figuring it all out. When you do that, the songs hit so much harder.
And their lyrics are just packed with this clever wordplay. Their most famous song, Du hast, is the perfect example. Du hast means you have, but it sounds almost exactly like du hast, which means you hate. The entire song dances on the edge of that ambiguity, a brilliant little pun that is completely lost if you only know the English version.
And that lyrical cleverness isn't just for fun word games. It's often pointed directly at society's darkest corners. And this is where we dig deeper, into the provocative, taboo-shattering heart of Rammstein's art.
Their song catalog reads like a list of things you're just not supposed to talk about, from songs inspired by a real-life cannibalism case to biting critiques of American cultural imperialism. Nothing is off limits. They stare directly into the grotesque and the uncomfortable, and they force you to look too.
So where does this dark, almost literary approach come from? Well, it turns out the guy screaming about cannibals while cooking his keyboardist in a giant pot is also a critically respected poet. I'm serious. Lindemann has published 3 volumes of his poetry, and that literary background is the engine behind the band's complex, metaphorical, and often really disturbing lyrics.
This fan just nails it. You don't just listen to a Rammstein song. You interpret it. The words are crafted with the care of poetry, and they demand that you take a closer look, and they absolutely reward you for it.
But to truly understand the spectacle, the sound, and the poetry, we have to dig all the way down to the final layer, the historical ground that this band grew out of. Their entire identity is completely rooted in a specific time and a specific place.
Just look at this timeline. In the handful of years right before the band formed,
Two massive events shook Germany to its core: a horrific, traumatic air show disaster, and then the fall of the Berlin Wall, the collapse of an entire country, East Germany, which led to a really difficult and anxious period of reunification. This is the world that created Rammstein.
The band's name itself comes from that airshow tragedy. In 1988, 3 jets collided during a display at Rammstein Air Base and crashed into a huge crowd. 70 people died. The band took that name, they added an extra M, which turned it into Rammstein, but the origin is this moment of deep national trauma.
And this might be the most crucial piece of the entire puzzle. Every single member grew up in East Germany, behind the Iron Curtain. They lived in a society where rock music was censored, controlled by the government. You had to get a license to perform, and your lyrics had to fit the state's ideology. So when you think about that, their entire career feels like a direct reaction, a complete, total embrace of artistic freedom, no matter how provocative it gets.
So when you put all of these pieces together, the fire, the sound, the words, and the history, you finally get a complete picture of what makes this band such a global phenomenon. It really is a perfect storm, isn't it? The spectacle grabs your attention, their unique sound holds it, the German lyrics pull you in deeper, the controversy keeps everyone talking, and that historical context, their East German roots, gives it all this profound weight. It's the combination of all these things that makes Rammstein, well, Rammstein.
And that leaves us with one final, fascinating question to think about. With their rigid marching rhythms and their fascination with dark, powerful imagery, are they just making fun of the world's stereotypes about Germany? Or have they, in their own unique and fiery way, become the ultimate artistic expression of it? I'll leave that one for you to decide.